Hi, my name is Koen and I'm an addict. That's how we say that into the 12-step programs. I have some notes on the paper here to share my experience, my strength and my hope with you. I make a lot of Dutch movies for my YouTube channel, but a few guys also from Scotland asked me to share my experience, strength and hope in English. So that's why I wanted to make up this video. There's a train coming, you hear? I will wait for it. Sorry for the disruption, but it's a nice place here. It's beautiful here. I want to share my recovery story from active addiction in 3 parts. This is part 1. See on my YouTube channel the other 2 parts. Part 1. My life before I found recovery and a release from active addiction. What happened to me and how I did fall into the trap of addiction. I want to take you through my recovery story. My head tells me a lie, to stick to the message in Dutch. But I don't want to listen to that, but it's a lie. It's a lie that I couldn't bring the message in English. When I speak with other people in English, sometimes I must look for the right words, they can understand me. So that's no problem. I feel a little insecure, but that's okay. Before I start, I want to tell you that I have a nickname in the Netherlands, and that's called Koen de Beuker, and that's a Dutch name. I looked for it on the internet. What's the English version of the Beuker? Looks like the hammer, like breaking to the walls. It's like a ram's horn through the walls. Because normally I'm gonna talk louder, but that's when I'm as enthusiastic, and I'm enthusiastic about my recovery and what I found in the 12-step groups. There I found my recovery, so I am enthusiastic about the 12-step programs because it gave me my life back. It saved my life, really. I said my name is Koen and I'm an addict. We always say that, but I'm Koen, I'm a recovering addict. And I want to tell you about the 12 step groups in general. Why general? When I first joined a 12-step group, it was a CA meeting, Cocaine Anonymous meeting. Cocaine and all other mind-altering substances. But a guy over there, the chairperson, asked me to come the next day to an NA meeting and brought me there, and then he brought me with him to an AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous. NA is Narcotics Anonymous, and brought me to an AA meeting, also a Dutch language but also an international language AA meeting. So he took me to a lot of different meetings, so I could find my recovery over there. I don't want to choose by that, because I have friends also in NA meetings. Sometimes I still go to an NA meeting or to a CA meeting. But I go to more meetings, but there's one meeting at the moment where I work with a sponsor, and that's okay for me. I want to share who I am, where I come from, how I came into contact with drugs and what it did to me. How I find freedom from active addiction after years in use, and how I am doing now. I am Koen, I'm 48 years old and have a 2-year younger brother. I come from a dysfunctional family. Memories from my childhood were black and white. Until I get into recovery from my active addiction and started working with the 12 steps with a sponsor, so memories from my childhood get more colored here and there. If I go back to my childhood, I remember at an age of 6 or 7 years old, where I was in a class and felt I could not make little or no connection with other children. And I was thinking about this morning, and then I remember something that I told the psychologue last week, that at the age of 4 or 5 I had a friend on my school, and he is getting immigrated. So I felt separate anxiety, separation anxiety. And that may be the reason for me for making new friends, that I have trouble with that. But it takes longer to regain trust. It took longer to regain trust because of the fear that also other people would gonna separate from me. And later on in my recovery, I lost a few friends. One of my friends had cancer, but also two friends of mine had their heart was stopping, so they died. So I hardly dared to make new friends and discuss that with them, for fear of being abandoned again and to say goodbye. So I talked with if I met new friends a few years ago, I started to tell about them, that there is some fear in my. They come by a lot of trains every time I stop. I didn't knew that when I was sitting here, but it's no problem. I want to tell you from further on in my childhood, when from the age of 9 till 12, I get abused. Not sexual abused, but I get abused. Kids who were older were waiting for me in groups of 6 or 7 kids to beat me up and kick me. I know now, since I became substance free and worked with a psychologist, that I was not abused every day, but I was scared every day. I started with flights from reality. First time I still remember, I was 9 years old. I didn't dare to go home because of the fear that they're gonna bullying me. And that was very intense and made me anxious and hurt a lot. So I stayed at school to help the teacher, had to clean the room or the class. But I was there because of fear, and I didn't tell the teacher. There were sometimes I tell the teacher, but they didn't help me. So I thought they don't see me, so I do it my way. And then I was in that class, and then I start stealing little things like stickers from other children. That stealing, which made me feeling attention of something not allowed, existing to be caught. This attention gave me a thrill, and this thrill made me, I see now, flee from reality. And at the age of 11, I started fleeing from my feelings again, and this time with eating sweets and cookies with bought from my pocket money. And I couldn't stop eating until the last crumb was gone. Very recognizable also with drug use, to crawling over the floor and looking for the last crumb of splash on the floor. Totally insane. By obsessively eating from numbing pain at the age of 11, by obsessively eating, I go and get bigger. So people have something more to bully me about, and it starts hurting more and more. It doesn't help me, it gets worse and not less. At the age of 12, my father says to me, "You're almost 2 meters long, don't let yourself get hit anyway." He said, "Stand straight up with your breast forward, let them see who you are." But it doesn't help, because when I'm standing there in front of 6 or 7 older children and I have my breast like this, they still hit me and kick me. So it doesn't help me. At that age I tell myself I am a loser. I'm not good enough because I cannot live up to what my father says, and I'm not any worth living. I am worthless. These memories and traumatic experience in my imaginary backpack on my back make me make decisions in my life that other persons who has not gone through these traumas will not make. Until I was in high school, on the age of 14, I still get kicked and hit by other children. They bullied me a lot. It made me I had a lot of fear and a lot of pain about that. And at the age of 14 there was a group of children on the school ground. They were standing there, they loved to fight, and everybody was going around them. I was also getting around them because I was scared about them. But suddenly they stand up for me while I've been attacked, and because of that I feel for the first time that I belong somewhere. I realize if I am not with them, then I'm unsafe, and with them I am safe. It is shine safety. They're doing things in their lives that are way beyond my limits. And I'm pushing my limits because I fear others not belonging. If I look back at my childhood, I was a kind of thrill seeker that went from group of friends to group of friends to group of friends to group of friends. And the group of friends getting extremer and extremer. In the beginning there were people who loved to fight, then it became friends that did criminal activities, and then it became friends that were from the underground. Well, believe me, as I sit here now, I was never one of them. But I was hanging on by a thread. And it felt like I was one of them. And that made me feel like I could keep people over there. Because after all, I had been hurt more than enough. I go back to being age of 14 or 15. I get in touch with a group that listened to house music, and that became hardcore music. And at the age of 16 I go to my first hardcore party, and they're using a lot of alcohol and drugs, but I don't want to hear about it because I don't want to use that. And then at the age of 17 I go to a house temple, a discotheque. It's called the Goldfinger. It's a hardcore party, and I feel there was a fish in the water, and I see those people have something that I don't have, and something in me gets triggered. And then I ask the people what they were doing, and they tell me they have used hard drugs, and they tell me what that hard drugs does to them. So I make the picture in my head what's gonna do when you what you're gonna get if you take those drugs. And then I'm just turned 17 and decided to experiment with these hard drugs. Using them does not give me the desired results. I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again, but not giving me desired results. And again. Years ago in recovery, I thought, how then, if a normal person, I don't know what they look like, but assuming he or she is not addicted and has a expectation of something and goes to do it, and after it doesn't give the expected result, in my perception that person then quits. But I don't. How can that be? And what's underneath it? And after wondering about it, after a few days I got the following insight. Maybe you can picture it with your eyes closed, or maybe you can look to me. It's a beautiful summer. It's beautiful weather outside. It's more than 30 degrees. And I'm driving in my car. And I think of an ice cream. Of a Magnum ice cream. I can't think of anything else but the Magnum ice cream. I see it. The Magnum ice cream, Magnum ice cream, Magnum ice cream, Magnum ice cream. It's getting an obsession. I can almost see it in front of me. In fact, I can almost taste it. It has become an obsession. I can't think of anything else. But still driving. I drive to the first gas station. Get out of the car. Buy that Magnum ice cream. I take it out of the package. I eat it. And guess what? He falls against. In my head, I made it more tasty. And so was it hard drugs. I remember a time when I was standing in a corner at the nightclub, standing in the corner in a wall of mirrors. And I always stood a bit bent over and never upright. But I'm still 2 meters long. And that stall, and someone asked me to stand in front of him. Afterwards I could see, so he was standing outside of the look of the security. And then I looked over my shoulder and I was seeing he does some white powder in his glass of drink. And I said to him, what is that? He said, it's hard drugs, not good for you. I said, give me some. He said, no, not good for you. I said, give me. I keep asking him, and then he gave it to me. Then after a half hour, I didn't stand in a corner pale anymore. No, I stood dancing at a podium with 500 clapping people. And then I stood in a dancing cage with a woman dancing, and I thought, I want more of that. And it get me. But after a week starting it using again, there wasn't that moment on the stage anymore, and there wasn't that moment in the cage anymore with a woman, but it felt I don't want to quit anymore, I want more of it. And drugs had taken me. But I thought I want more of it, and I went all out. More house parties, after parties, after parties, after parties. We started to use in the week, and it felt good, so we did it every week. And I felt like a party animal, so they call it here in Holland. But my parents saw me going downhill and were worried. My father called me to sit in front of my father and mother in the kitchen table. And my father said, look at yourself, what are you doing? The house music you listen, the parties where you go to, the drugs that I use, the people you hang out with, all of your school that is going down. He said, now take an example for your 2-year younger brother. He has all the other friends. He goes to the village on Friday to have a little beer. And he has good points at school. Look at him. Take him as an example. Say your friends goodbye. Go with him and his friends to the village on Friday. And why don't you take an example to your younger brother? What I heard my father say is your brother is a genius, Koen, and you're a sack of shit. My father didn't say that, but that's what I heard. And I thought, now I finally have friends. And then you want to take them away from me. In my experience, I sidetracked my father after these statements. My mother was my everything and my father was like air for me. I only started using more after this because I couldn't handle it. I partied from 1992 to 1999, and in 1999 I met the woman of my life, Susan, my better half. And I thank God she is still with me today with everything she's been through with me. I stopped using drugs for Susan for 1 year eventually. Listen, when I started to go to meetings there I heard that alcohol is also a drug. And I stopped a year from using drugs, but if I look back, I have planted a lot of times and used a lot of alcohol to compensate. But in my experience I was doing well. And since a relationship with Susan I said goodbye to the wrong people, and choose a relationship with Susan. After a year I started using drugs again, and I wasn't not always honest about how much I used, and I thought I had the control over it. But remember, I thought I had control over substance use. I wanted to use occasionally and was only concerned with the months still to come at the house party, in 3 months, in 2 months, in 1.5 months. My use of alcohol and drugs in the beginning seems like something that was part of it and was fun. But in my perception everybody does it on the parties. And now in recovery it has become clear that I did it mostly to cushion pain from my past, and using substances was an escape from reality. So until March 2005 my life and with Susan seemed to be running pretty smoothly. pretty smoothly. We lived together and we had many friends around us, and I had a good job as an electrician. In the beginning of our relationship, it seemed as if I had the use of alcohol substance under control. Alcohol and drugs. But I did create a lot of moments to step out of reality anyway, and I was not always honest about the amount of drugs I was taking. In 2005 I was at my work and I heard that the police had called. Then I called the police and the police told me that my mother was in an accident and that she was lying in the hospital, and my mother was my everything, so I wanted to go to her. And then I was at her at the hospital, and then she told me that she wanted to take her life. My mother had attempted to take her own life. Thank God she is still with us. But this action took all the bottom of me out. This moment of my mother came so hard with me and it caused me a lot of pain, and after 6 months I started using over it, and I didn't have a recovery program, so I started using drugs over it. This caused me to be under the influence almost daily within a few weeks. I became a ticking time bomb and became verbally aggressive and had even more outrageous behavior. Susan confronted me with my behavior and told me that I was not only destroying myself and our relationship but also Susan, and she said to me, if I don't stop using, she's gonna quit our relationship. And the only thing I think is, she can't live without me. If I look at myself sitting on that couch totally lost, thinking that I'm the godfather myself. Susan felt powerless to watch me, and she thought that the message didn't hit me because I was starting using more drugs over it, but I couldn't handle that. So I couldn't live with that she was telling me. She thought she could change me. The reason I wanted to quit my drug use was our desire to have children. And I thought, I can't be a father that uses drugs. I want to be a good example for my children. And then I wanted to quit, and then I saw it was harder to stop than I thought. I made 7 seriously attempts to stop my use of drugs. And all 7 attempts failed. To give an example, we are going 2 weeks to Turkey on vacation, all-inclusive vacation. Now I know all-inclusive, that's drinking a lot of alcohol, but not knowing that alcohol is a drug. I only learned that at the meetings. And I was 10 days in Turkey, and I was in the apartment thinking that I was in that 10 days not thinking about hard drugs, and I said it to Susan, and she said to me, I thought, how is that possible? Not thinking about drugs when I am there. And then Susan said to me, I'm so proud of you. And I thought to myself, that must be very special if someone is proud of me, because I felt 0.0 self-value. 14 days in Turkey passed, and I had not been home for a half hour when I realized that I'd already used again. Unconsciously, I had already called my dealer at the airport. How on earth is that possible? Not thinking about it for a moment in 14 days and finding out when it's already too late, that disappointment in Susan's eyes I will never forget. Again, I had failed at this time. My last try, my last attempt, from the 7 before I found recovery, I had removed all the phone numbers off my phone. And not getting one number, because not like I always did in a closet, in a drawer, in a box, still one number just in case, because always I had a reason to clean this closet and then start using again. This time I was clean for 2 weeks and I'm sitting on the couch in front of the coffee table. My cell phone lies on the coffee table. I feel myself good and I get a text message, beep 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 beep. Look on my phone and guess what the message was? From my dealer. Hey Koen, this is my new number. Greetings, your dealer. I want to delete this message, but no, I can't do it, and I go calling him again and start using again after 2 weeks. How is that possible? How on earth is that possible? Again, that disappointment in the eyes of Susan. Again, I had failed to quit my addiction. But then, up to here, part 1. So far, thanks for watching. See further part 2 and then part 3. Hi, thank you for watching for my video. At the end is a picture with an email address. If you want to come in contact with me, use that email address. If you have questions about recovery program, if you have questions about maybe a clinic, if you have some questions, or if you want to tell something what this video did to you, you can always send me an email and I will always answer your email. Thank you for watching and maybe till the next video. Bye bye.